Rachel Reeves has been dubbed the Christmas Grinch after an analysis by the Mail revealed that her budget tax grab means that 45 pence of every pound donated to the charity will go to the government.
Rachel Reeves came under sharp scrutiny today after a pointed exchange with Nana Akua, who openly challenged the Shadow Chancellor over her repeated missteps and inconsistencies. The confrontation exposed growing frustration, not just from commentators, but from voters about Reeves's record and her handling of key economic arguments.
How long have Labour got before the restlessness sets in, either within their party or indeed the nation? I mean, we've already seen the polls, which have seen, 19 points taken off Labour's popularity, putting him now on a par with Jeremy Corbyn at his low point.
Rachel Reeves is under mounting pressure within her own party as senior Labour figures voice anger over behaviour they say has tarnished the party's credibility. Her recent string of misjudged decisions, marked by what critics call greed and hypocrisy, has ignited widespread public frustration and raised serious questions about her political judgment.
The Tory party are making themselves useful at last, and writing to Rachel Reeves. They're objecting to regulations that would force businesses to collect data on, you guessed it, diversity and inclusion, which will apparently cost the city up to £1 billion. Oh God, make it stop! The Tories have got a nerve, though. They let this baloney run wild.
Public outrage is growing as Rachel Reeves' latest proposal comes under fire. A plan, critics warn, could burden the nation with a staggering £1 billion price tag.
Rachel seems to be prepared to continue with their legacy and effectively make it worse. Another bad decision from Rachel, although very much in keeping with her style. The new regulations, which have been drawn up by the FCA, that is the Financial Conduct Authority, and the Prudential Regulatory Authority, the PRA, will mean that companies will have to complete compulsory reporting of sex, gender, ethnicity, age, disability, religion and sexual orientation. Why?
Nana Akua delivered a sharp rebuke to Rachel Reeves, condemning her repeated missteps, mistakes that she argued have become all too familiar within the Labour Party. In a society that prides itself on equality, Akua questioned why such policies are even being pursued. While many organisations already collect basic demographic data demanding that individuals disclose their sexual orientation under the banner of diversity and inclusion, is, she suggested, a clear overreach. Far from promoting unity, these measures risk deepening social divides. The irony, Akua noted, is striking a party that constantly preaches equality now appears to be championing initiatives that entrench difference and fuel division.
Andrew Griffith MP, Shadow Business and Trade Secretary, Mark Garnier MP, Shadow Economic Secretary to the Treasury, and Claire Coutinho MP, Shadow Women and Equalities Minister, have written to the Chancellor urging her to stop these regulations from coming into force. And in a letter, they stated that the proposed regulations would threaten British competitiveness, erode meritocracy in Britain, in British financial services, and embed scientifically unsound and contested ideological principles into regulations.
Conservative MPs are calling on Rachel Reeves to scrap what they describe as an ill-conceived and damaging proposal, one they warn could deepen both economic strain and social division. Yet, despite mounting pressure, it remains unclear whether Reeves will reconsider her position or press ahead, risking further fallout for Labour's credibility and the country's stability.
And to put all of this in place, it could cost about £1 billion. Now, a Treasury spokesperson said, economic reform is needed if we want to unlock the full growth potential of the British economy. I don't know about you, but I'm sick of all of this. Why can't we just treat everybody the same and stop highlighting differences? It makes no sense in a world where we're all supposedly equal.
Labour is promoting it as economic reform, but in truth, it resembles a detached, ideologically driven scheme, a costly experiment rooted more in political posturing than practical economics, and one that could leave taxpayers footing a £1 billion bill.
The Labour Party, who Whether you like it or not, whatever the reason you think it happened, they were elected at the last general election, so now they are bringing in their values into government, and those values are rightfully the antithesis of conservatism and anybody to the right of politics, but they're trying to do it in a balanced way to a point where people on the hard left aren't happy with them.
The Labour Party elected at the last general election, whether one agrees with their vision or not, is now embedding its values at the heart of government. Those values stand in clear opposition to conservative principles and to anyone aligned with the political right. Yet, in their attempt to appear balanced, Labour finds itself alienating voices on the hard left as well. At the centre of this ideological shift stands Rachel Reeves, pressing ahead unapologetically with a policy agenda shaped by the party's inner circle and political elites.
Listen, the point that you must admit that that is irrelevant. Why do I need to make sure I've got 10 gay people, 10 straight people, 10 bisexuals, 10... Why don't you just want people who can do the job?
Nana Akua has expressed disbelief at what she describes as the growing incompetence within this government. A failure, she argues, made worse by Rachel Reeves' continued missteps and poor judgment.
Rachel Reeves has been dubbed the Christmas Grinch after an analysis by the Mail revealed that her budget tax grab means that 45 pence of every pound donated to the charity will go to the government. In the meantime, ministers are accused of quietly pushing a green levy on businesses for packaging waste, set to raise household bills by up to $1.4 billion a year.
Rachel Reeves continues to come under heavy criticism for her recent policies, with many accusing her of deepening public frustration. Her latest economic measures have been branded as out of touch and even greedy after reports emerged suggesting new taxes could impact charities. Critics argue such proposals are tone-deaf and harmful, particularly in a period of economic strain. Among the most vocal opponents is Nana Akua, who has accused Reeves of economic mismanagement as the financial outlook worsens. For many, these controversies underscore a growing unease with Reeves' leadership and the direction Labour's economic agenda is taking.
What about this diversity drive? Because the city is saying that it could cost £1.6 billion.
Yeah, it's complete nonsense, and it's another example of the way that this Labour Party seems to be absolutely determined to hammer business in any way they can, from the national insurance rise to the changes to the minimum wage and the employment rights bill that will give employees day one rights rather than rights after 2 years, which is the normal way. They've kind of taken a 3, 4, 5, you can argue how many pronged assault on the UK's private sector, all to pay, I'm afraid, for the public sector.
There's no denying it. Public patience with Rachel Reeves is wearing thin. Her critics argue that her policies reveal a deep misunderstanding of both the country and its business community. More concerning, they say, is the growing sense of incompetence surrounding her leadership as economic confidence continues to slide. Questions about her credibility have only intensified following renewed scrutiny over her professional record, with accusations that her resume doesn't align with reality. And while Reeves and Sir Keir Starmer continue to promise economic growth, many in the business sector see little evidence to support such claims. In an environment where running a business has become increasingly difficult, the government's rhetoric of reform rings hollow, and the gap between their promises and Britain's economic reality only continues to widen.
Because Rachel said that Nigel Farage hasn't got a clue on the economy. Do you think that some of the policies that Reform have put forward are a little bit pie in the sky?
Well, listen, the key thing with Reform is going into the last election, they knew they weren't going to get into government. So the policies they were announcing were, a set of values, a set of ideals. They weren't a serious, concrete policy agenda.
Rachel Reeves appears increasingly out of her depth, steadfast in her convictions, yet seemingly detached from the economic realities facing the country. Whether it's overconfidence or a profound disconnect, her recent public criticism of Nigel Farage and Reform UK has backfired, leaving her open to charges of hypocrisy and poor judgment. Given her record, many argue she is the last person who should be lecturing others on economic management. Under her influence, inflation has worsened, taxes have climbed, and business confidence has faltered. In a sharp rebuke, commentator Nana Akua delivered what many see as a long overdue reality check, challenging Reeves on her failures and questioning the direction of Labour's economic agenda.
I think the values that they espouse, which is a smaller state, lower taxes, more fiscal responsibility, are broadly good ones. They need to add a bit of meat onto the bones. But Nigel Farage is a man that has done very well, set up businesses, run businesses, and clearly has a much better understanding of the economy than Rachel Reeves.
I don't think there's anyone on Rachel on the front bench that has actually run a business.
No, they have been involved in charities though, and you know that same charity sector that they've been involved in, they've spent a lot of their career dedicated to, is now being hammered by their own tax rises. So I do wonder if Labour are looking at charities and thinking,